Okay, guys, let's get this set up here. I'll put the finishing touches on this last person, this last soldier, last American GI for these snow troops. All right. We were painting his face, and it was time to go to work. All right, let's flip this thing over. Let's get a little bit of water here. These dark dust particles. They're probably not dust. They're probably like filaments from our clothes. All right, we're gonna need black here, of course. Probably not much of it left on this figure. Well, at least not on the face. We've already gone past the point where you mix that in. We'll put some there for good measure. Where there's black, there must be white. So we'll need some of that as well. And the other fleshy colors are red leather, I hope I have another one of these. I mean, I won't need it tonight, but sunny skin tone, I've had this a long time. I've had this so long, the color I used before this was actually the flesh from Games Workshop. Originally, that I got in probably the early 90s, maybe even like 89 or something like that. Had a long time. All right, and we want to use the super great brush for this, not that one. Because we're going to do facial details. What's up, Paige? We're painting some soldiers. That's what we're doing tonight. What's up, Steven? Welcome back. Man, it's been a long time. I do remember you're still from New York, though. You and your son doing auto shows. I remember that's the last time that. I hope I got that right. If not, it's your own fault for not coming by. Hope you're doing well, man. Message held for review. I'm not going to look at it. It's probably inappropriate. You guys need to grow up. Oh, man. This is the last American GI of this batch. And then we're going to go on to something else. What's up, Thomas? Can you name yourself anything on YouTube, or does it have to be a name that hasn't already been taken? Because Thomas got if you can't have the same name, Thomas got in early. There's nothing worse than like, I want to sign up for whatever for the first time and you can't use your own name. You got to like, well, Tony and my last name isn't available, but you can add, a bunch of numbers that don't mean anything to the back of it. I'm like, I don't want a handle that's a bunch of stupid numbers. I don't want an Xbox handle that sounds like that. That's just, silly. John got in early too, if that's the case. If that's the case, John got in there and like all kinds of people behind him I wanted my name John. Sorry, John's been taken. Oh, son of a bitch. I went to this hobby store, true story. There's this hobby store here in town. It's more of a gamer store. And they have a rewards program, right? So they have this rewards program where you give them your email address and they look up your name. And if your name is kind of unique, like I mean, my last name is unique here in North Central Florida, you know. They looked me up and like, oh, you're already in the system. I said, how am I already in the system? I said, well, there's already a Tony Aguilar here. I said, what's the email address? Not only was it not me, that son of a bitch got TonyAguilar@gmail.com. And he lives in this area. I just sent him a nasty email. Look, you mother, I'm probably older than him, I got birthright on his ass. I'm like, really? Somebody stole my own name from me. You have a question related to 3.0. Can you ask? You can ask, and I'm willing to answer it, but I'm not going to look through a rule book for you because that's taking things too far. I don't mind helping you, but like I've done all the time that I'm going to with DVA. But go right ahead. I don't hate DVA. I'm just like, I'm tired of looking things up. I'm tired of looking things up and then nobody would show up to our tournaments. So I'm like, okay, I did the best I could. But hit me. I will try to answer it as best as I can. Tournaments, yeah, we played a few of those. I have so many damn awards, I don't have any of them up. And this model club group now, they're like obsessed with, man, you need to go to this you need to go to this event so you can judge your stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be judged, man. I don't need freaking awards. I don't even have all the ones that I have. I don't know, 50, 40, 50. I'm like, I don't have any of them up. And to be honest with you, I would rather have awards about my painting skill, but I don't want to be judged by somebody like, if somebody says like, I don't think you did a very good job. Well, the first thing I would be like, well, what do you do? Let me show what you do. If it's somebody that's like of note, okay, but yeah, I don't really care if other people like my stuff or not. I mean, if they do, that's cool. But I do this for me. Yeah, the model, man, you need to enter this. You need to enter in the book. Like they want some kind of a group win. I'm like, they don't realize I played competitive stuff the last 18 years and got out of it. And it wasn't because it was competitive. I'm just like, that wasn't bringing me any joy. Okay, when you ran the tournament Historicon, how many rounds? What's the scoring? How did you pair up opponents? Okay. Well, the last one I ran, there weren't enough players, but let me give you an example. I need to put my computer up because there's a little fan and I'm a little warm. So just bear with me and I am well qualified to answer that question. So you have a theme, right? And let me make sure I'm not unplugging the wrong thing here. You have a theme, whatever it was. Say it was Fall of Rome, okay? Let's say you have a Fall of Rome theme, and the theme is you can use any of Rome's final armies, like maybe the last, Patrician Roman, East and West, and late Imperial Roman, East and West, and all their enemies, right? That's a reasonable theme. And anybody has that. So what I would do in a theme like that, or well, I'm complicating it more than I should, which is typical for me. Let me plug this thing in. Let's say you have an open tournament. You can bring any army you want. Okay? And assuming there's an even number of players. All right, now power up. Now I should be able to switch this little button and the fan's going. Okay, and say you have an even number of players. So along with on the sheet that everybody, and I can't show you one because I threw them all away. I didn't keep any of my sheets because I'm never going to run a tournament again. There is a space for your army makeup, and you write down your army makeup so people can't mix it up from battle to battle. Like you pick what your flavor is, and that's what you bring every battle. And also a year. So let's say you want to play 100 Years War English. 100 Years War English A. That's like the first 100 Years War English A army. And maybe their date range in the book goes from 1299 to 1313. I'm shooting from the hip completely. And you would pick a year within there. Like, okay, these are the 100 Years War English from 1313, right? You pick a year. So what I do is everybody turns all their stuff in and they get paired in the first round. And I do 3 rounds. I do 3 rounds in a 4-hour session because you can, it's easy to discern who's going to be the winner at that point. Okay. So I do 3 rounds because you could do 4, but then everybody's rushed all the time. And it's like most of the games, like, pack up your stuff. You need to go to that table and play that person kind of thing. You lose some time in between that. So 3 rounds. The first matching is by date. So you take all the dates that are the closest to each other and they pair up. So, you'll have book one armies fighting book one armies normally. The guys in the middle will fight the guys in the middle, and the latest guys will fight the latest guys. At least in an initial pairing, except I avoid civil wars. So if 2 people brought 100 Years' War English armies that happen to be the same, I wouldn't pair them up initially. I'd be like, okay, fight the next guy that's the closest in date with you. So you play your battle, right? You do your scoring, and I'll talk about what the scoring is. And then the highest scoring people will play in the next round, will play each other, assuming they haven't played each other already. That can happen in the middle. And then the lowest people will fight each other, and so forth. And then when you score for that round, and then the overall highest one will fight the next overall highest one, and it's probably going to be for the championship. There are times when 1 and 2 are fighting each other in the 3rd round, and the army that is just below them actually outscores the loser of that 1 and 2. That happens. That can happen frequently. But that way you're fighting somebody who's hopefully of your ability. All right. Now scoring. We do a scoring that was popular in HMGS East, and it works pretty well. I didn't come up with it. I just kind of kept it going, and it worked really well for what we were doing. I just need to find a notepad. See, I actually don't mind doing this. What I don't want doing is, hey, can you write out what I don't want to write shit out. Okay, I don't mind doing my performance art like this, but let me see if I can. Let me see if I can do this. I would do it the other way, but I don't have a way to shine the camera this way. So the scoring per round is you have basically the winner, and then you have the loser. Well, loser sounds kind of bad. Well, don't lose the fucking game then. I won't have to call you a loser. You're not a loser. Your army is. Does that make you feel better? Okay, the winner gets 20 points minus gets 20 points plus their kills minus what they lose. Okay, and I'll give you an example of what that is. And the loser just gets what they kill. Okay? So, let me give you an example. Let's say some guy wins 4G0. Okay? 4G means you killed 4 elements and one of them happened to be the general. It's not like 4 elements and the general element. Well, that would be 5G, okay? It's 4 elements, one of them happened to be the general, to 0, okay? So this guy would get 20 points for the win, 4 points for these unit, and the G is worth an additional 1. So it would be 25 points and the loser would get 0. Now, if it had been 4G to 1, the loser would get 1 point, and this 1 that he lost would come, this 20 would turn into a 19. So it'd be 1 less, it'd be 24. And that kind of separates with enough numbers the winners and the losers, so it makes the pairing important. Ultimately, the number itself isn't important. It's just good to differentiate between who's won and who hasn't. Okay? Does that make sense? So if you have, and then anything that gets added that's an extra element, like for instance, a double element, right? Like those deep knights you have. So, and those are worth 2 elements. So say you killed 3DG, Okay, so if you beat somebody and they were running my medieval German army, and there was three elements, and one of them was double and was the general, to two. Okay, so they would have 20 points. Minus two is 18. Okay, and then you would get 3 points for this is 21, an additional one for that one's 22, an additional one for that's 23. It'd be 23-2. It's that simple. And that's what we did. And that way the numbers are big enough from each other that you don't have somebody who lost really well that has a chance of outscoring somebody else that won really badly. Like if you win the game, no matter how badly you win the game, you're going to be 15 points or more away from somebody who lost really well. Like almost won, but they lost the game. And I didn't design that, but it works really well. And that's it. Does that make sense? But I try to avoid civil wars because nobody wants to fight, the same damn army. Like, okay, Caesarian Roman versus Caesarian, Marian Roman versus Marian Roman. If it happens in the second round, hey, you have to play it, right? But in the first round, I try to avoid those. If you have a themed army, like it was Fall of Rome, and there was an equal number of Roman players and equal number of non-Roman players, I'd probably initially place the Roman players by age, score them with their enemies by date. The Romans by date, so in other words, go earlier the latest, and they would fight their opponents earlier the latest and match them up that way. I don't know that I've had to do that before. Because you might have 2 Roman players and like 6 barbarians. Well, that's not going to work out, So you just go by date. The date works really well. Does that make sense? When I started doing tournaments, other people ran them. And one of the things that happened is they would collect money for the tournaments. Hey, everybody, give me $5, right? No big deal, $5, right? It goes towards a prize thing, and then the person who was running would get those monies together, and they would go to one of the vendors and say, okay, I got $80. Give me a gift certificate for $30, one for 20, and one for 10. I don't know. That doesn't add up to 20. That doesn't up to 80, but it adds up to 60. But whatever. I got $60. Get me 3 gift certificates, and then first, second, and third place would get that. Would get those, and then they could use those monies to buy stuff at their thing. But what I started noticing really quick is, and then they sometimes would give a prize for whoever did the worst. So, a couple problems with that scenario. First of all, I don't like asking people for money. I don't. I don't. So I am not a good salesy person to do that with. Second of all, the same people seem to win. So you're basically new people would come in to donate their $5 to give somebody that wins all the time a prize, which they don't need because they got lots of things to paint because they're already invested in this game system. The people that are new and don't do really well, there's no point in them getting a free army because you're probably never going to see them again. So you're just throwing the army away. So what I just started doing is, you know what? I don't mind running the tournaments. I don't mind giving them little mementos. I just started making awards for the winner and not collecting any money. And if you don't like it, then you run the tournaments however you want. But one of the guys that was running this stuff in Ohio got burned out because what he was doing was he was providing all the prize support himself and not playing. Well, what kind of a penance? What did you do in a past life where you get to not play in this tournament that you organized and are doing all the work for? And then, somehow that compromises like you ruling on the game. Like, well, you got a problem with stuff like that. I've never been, you better not accuse me of that. We'll go draw swords in the freaking parking lot, but, yeah, no wonder he got burned out. He's supplying all the toys, not getting to play. And, no. I don't know. Was that helpful? Yeah. So, I like DBA because, what's up, Ben? I like DBA because you were able to bring your own toys and play with your own stuff. Like, if you go to a convention and you do your own stuff at the side, but you don't want to ever run anything, why even collect things? What, just to do it? As you go to some place and everything is supplied for you in a game, what's the point even doing it yourself? DBA allowed you to bring your own stuff and play with them. And if you were worried about people ham-fisting your figures, DBA is pretty much a game where nobody's touching your stuff other than you. So there's a lot to like about it. I'm just like, I'm done with it, you know, for multiple reasons. And none of it is Phil Barker. But the idea that you can't play in a tournament that you're organizing and doing all the lifting, you want me to do all the heavy lifting and not play in the tournament? Well, I guess we'll have to play a different kind of game then, because I'm not doing all that shit. And at our, for instance, at our conventions, you don't get in for free. I think at Historicon, you at least get in for free if you run X number of games. At our convention in Florida, you got to pay no matter what. You know, so it's like, okay, well, if that's your business model, I'm certainly going to play in the games. Now, I had something that happened to me that I learned my lesson on, because I like this thing that I say. I said, you only get to fuck me once, right? So this guy decided to fuck me. He's like, I'm going to play in a tournament. So there was an odd number of players. So I didn't play because I was running the game, right? And then after one round, this guy says, okay, well, I got to go pick up my kid or something. So he fucked up the whole system of it, and then kept me from, you know, it's just like, no, you don't get to do shit like that. Luckily, that's only happened once that I can think of, but I'll remember it. I know where you live. And there's different ways to handle odd numbers of players, and which I don't have the brain capacity right now to even remember how it went. But you know, just use common sense, be fair, and it'll all work out. You know, Mr. Bear, how many tournaments did we run? Well, so what happened is there was only one tournament a year, okay, and the convention's twice a year. And I went to it a couple times when I got into DBA, and then the guy that was organizing DBA said, hey, I'm not going to make this next convention because I got a high school reunion to go to. And I'm like, who the fuck wants to go to the high school reunion? But that's just me, you know, I'm like, I'm not going to a damn high school reunion, right? I'll check that picture out in a second, Ben. Hopefully it's an action figure you made of yourself. So I'm like, and I didn't have anybody local to play DBA with. I'm like, I'm not missing. You are not taking this opportunity of me. You know, I was wound up. That was in the early 2000s. I'm like, I'm playing, so I'll run the tournament. I've run games before. I've just never run a tournament. I've never played a tournament before until before DBA. You know, I mean, you're always competitive when you're playing a game, even though the stakes are low. You know, so it's not a big deal. So I ran one. And then when he came back, I'm like, well, let's run two. And then after a while, after going to Historicon a couple years later, where they ran a DBA event in every single session, I'm like, I'm doing that. Let's just run one in every session. So how many have I run? I don't know, 50 probably. And I'm probably trying not to exaggerate. I definitely ran probably close to 50. Probably close to 50. Yeah, because each convention, I'd make the awards for like frickin' 7 of them or something like that. You know, you just go to you find some art on the internet. You go on your what's the one that you make like presentations with? I don't even know because I haven't used it for that. Put some wording on it, right? It's like a Rome thing. Find some Rome thing for you. Put champion. Go to Walgreens, print it out, put it in a dollar store frame. I spend, you know, a couple bucks on each one. Don't ask for any money, and here you go. And it's a nice memento. And I enjoyed making them. I didn't enjoy that week before the convention when I had to do all that other shit, plus leave everything done at work. That was not fun. I don't miss that. Did I ever see Phil Barker's naval rules, subs and SAMs? There's a section of ground scale which Barker reads on cosmic radiation. No. Oh, you sent me a pics of it? No. No, I just he's a super sharp dude. He's okay. That doesn't work. All right, that doesn't work. Let's see what we got here. Okay, playing area. Because of the distances involved, it's usually impractical to restrict play to a single continuous table with a constant distance scale, comma, since this leads to vast expanses of empty table, period. Wow! I didn't have to go a whole paragraph for a period. Ideally, comma, the size of the table and model should so correspond that a model ship at the center of the table subtends English, damn it, subtends the same angle to the player's eye as the image in binoculars of the real ship at combat range. Period. Alternately, comma, it has been suggested, I hope lightheartedly, that 1/6000 scale model should be painted in a fluorescent light green to represent radar images. You got to, Phil, you need to study harder to pass the drug test. The practical limit on the size of each table is arm's reach. Ideally, no point on the table should be more than 24 inches or 600 millimeters from an accessible edge. If using large models, 120, 1250 or above, it is often in the past been necessary to use 2 or more tables a notional distance apart. These rules replace this by using spacer batons to effectively remove empty areas from single table, which is also much simpler in practice than using a variable distance scale. It cannot be placed closer to any vessel than its horizon. I need therapy. I need therapy. I dare you try to make sense of that. No. 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 And he is a sharp fucking guy. He is a sharp guy, but he's an abstract thinker. I am not an abstract thinker at all. I just don't. It doesn't, you know why? Because it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to play a game where this guy, who's this tall, throws a grenade, and because of game crunch, the grenade only goes 2 inches away. Well, why can you only throw the grenade 2 inches away? Well, because each inch actually represents 100 feet or 50 feet or something like that. All right, well, then we have to play with N scale buildings. We have to play with 10 millimeter buildings with 20 millimeter figures. Why? So that the ground scale matches the figure scale, which isn't a problem if I was doing DBA, right? Because I don't mind having 6 millimeter buildings with 15 millimeter figures because it just kind of abstractly represents the building. But this is like, it's important where the doorway is, or where this guy crawls in and where he crawls out, and where the grenade lands and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I dare me. Yeah, I dare me to make sense of it either. And then you're trying to play the game at night when you've had problems at work, whatever it is, because we're all fixers. Most people are fixers. Most people that are successfully employed are fixers. They fix different things. Here's a problem, fix it, right? I don't know what to do, fix it. Shut up, let me fix it. Get out of the way, let me fix it. And then you go at night where my brain is burnt. The only drugs I've ever done is freaking caffeine. It's burnt out on caffeine. And you read a sentence like that, and every time you read it, it's like, is he saying Laurel or Yanny? It's the same freaking thing. Oh, I see this. It's clear as day. And then you go back a couple days later and you read it and you're like, No, it says the opposite. I got it wrong. And then the reality is, it's probably none of those two things. And that's the problem with Phil Barker's writing. I played Advanced Squad Leader a lot. Well, not by DBA standards, 100 times. And there's times where you couldn't find things in the rule book, which was rare because the rule book is organized really well. But I couldn't find it. So we made a gentleman's agreement about what it was. But usually came to if you're playing with somebody reasonable, you can reason with them, right? And then later on, we found it, and we were correct. We were correct in our guesstimation of what it should be because we felt like we knew the intended result. Because the game wasn't that abstract, even though it did have the 2d6 bell curve BS, right? This game ain't abstract at all. Like, this is in my realm of thinking. But there's so many times when we did the same thing with DBA, and we would come 100 degrees, we would all agree, we would all come to 180 degrees opposite of the result of what it ended up being. And it's just frustrating. It's like, I don't understand how this man thinks this way, And people will go and they'll pick up the DBA rules and they'll be like, oh, these army lists don't make any sense. I said, you moron. That's the only part of the rules that makes sense. The army lists once you know what everything means, sure, it looks algebraic, but it makes sense. It's algebraic, but it's algebra 1, not algebra 3, Is there an algebra 3? If there was, I'd be really bad at it because I'm not good. I'm not even good at the second one. I'm great at the first one, but the quadratic formula and Phil Barker are probably going to be in the same place in the afterlife. If that's upstairs or downstairs or in limbo, they both belong in the same place. Phil Barker's writing just makes me, You look at it and you're like, either he's crazy or I'm an idiot. So I do like the fluorescent green idea. Not really practical for more than a very specific scenario, like a raid on the Osama compound. What's that game that's made by Osprey that I can never remember? I can't remember the name of actors or games. Anyways, it was their modern skirmish game that I used to have it. That was out of print and it went like for a skyrocketing price. Anyhow, the one where you could shoot across the board. And you roll to kill somebody, but then they got to save, and it's like you really didn't kill them. So we're going to play this game that was in Iraq. And like, what side do you want to be, the Americans or the Iraqis? And I'm like, I want Fedayeen for the ween. We had fun with that, but it didn't make me want to play the game again. Force on Force, yeah, that's the one. Beautiful, gorgeous rule book. Gorgeous rule book. Vaguey, very vaguey. Just, I don't want to play a game where it doesn't matter if you have an AK-47 or M16. I'm sorry, they call them M4s now. Whoa. If they behave the same, I'm sorry. I'm the wrong guy for that. Like I don't want to play the new rule, the new version of Face of Battle. All rifles, all bolt action rifles are the same. Nope. I'm not playing it that way. I got version 1. We're going to try, I don't know if you were on here the other day, Ben, when I had my brainstorm. You're probably working because I think it happened in the morning. I told Marcus. I had my brainstorm, and you've seen how this game is supposed to be played. I had my brainstorm of like, what if you pull a leader, like if you pull a squad leader, Chit, you keep pulling, and if they're guys that are under his command, then you'll know that all those guys are going in that order, and then you do them in that order. And then as soon as you have an interruption with pulling an enemy Chit or something like that, you have to stop. I'm going to try that. It might be better. Might be a way of not just like, well, I'm just doing whoever comes up. It gives you a little bit of, finagling. Because I really think that this game should be centered around you're playing a leader. Like, you have a squad, 2 guys play a squad. One guy's squad leader, one guy's assistant squad leader. I think that's the scale the game should be played. Or you have a tank. Guy plays half a squad in one tank, and other guy plays a half squad in another tank kind of thing. Yeah, it's worth a try. You know what? It's one of those things like we did it. I said this all the time when we were doing things for DBA. And I don't know if it was on live videos, but I would tell Mitch, we're going to try it. And we're both going to like it or we both won't. I will guarantee that whatever we do, it'll have that same thing. If you have people that are looking for the same, unless you're playing with somebody that's nefarious, that like I don't want to do it that way because I found like this little edge, and winning is everything to them. One of these nefarious, crooked people, one of these crooked pit folks. The guys that they don't want to play cocked dice until it benefits them. No, that's in play. That one's not cocked. Yeah, it is, asshole. Cheater, get out of here. Where's that noose? I'm playing with a cheater. I'd rather not play with anybody. But anyways, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Maybe it sucks. Maybe it'll be better. I feel like a lot of these people that come up with rules. And I'm not saying that's the case with this set of rules, okay? But a lot of people that come up with rules, this is certainly the case with Phil. Sorry, Phil. I love you, man, but it's pretty apparent that you've got favoritism toward certain armies, which is kind of stupid because he made the DBMM list. But there's some armies that would have had like an artillery piece in DBMM with the same frequency as another army. And one army always gets artillery and the other one doesn't even get to choose it in DBA. I call bullshit, right? I just use that as an example. But I think a lot of rule designers make things that they want to, almost like they want to pick the news that fits their narrative instead of like coming down with, instead of like getting to the truth of the matter. You want to pick whatever fits their narrative and not change their narrative. But, it's just a game and, it needs to be fun. And I think it needs to be realistic and give you like, excitement about learning about real things that happened. Otherwise, you're just learning false history. Well, he's a sharp guy, but I don't understand how he thinks. We were not hatched from the same egg. And we'd say this all the time. His rules are, his rules are great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played him for 18 years. They're challenging. But he doesn't give his rules enough credit. He just like, I played him once and he beat me. Figures. And he just pushed his army straight forward, like no finesse whatsoever. And I'm like, the game can have all these things to it. And it was just like, he just wanted to push forward and roll dice. And I'm like, there's a game called checkers. It's real simple. That could be real simple. And somebody would say, oh, checkers isn't simple at all, but it's ugly to look at, but Roy said he didn't give his own rules enough credit because they're very, it's 3D chess. But I'm very comfortable using a set of rules as a skeleton, as a guide, and then go, okay, this needs more detail. This doesn't, or that scenario where the tank, that BT7 ran into the Panzerjäger 1, and everybody in the BT7 isn't dead. Like that's just okay. That needs to be changed. You need to be a little bit of a role play GM to it. So, anyways, I found 3 little Hitler Youth guys, which might be good to paint up and use in a scenario. But I don't know who I'm going to do next. Hitler Youth kids? Yeah, one of them's armed with a Mauser. One of them just has a Panzerfaust. And the other one has some rifle I've never seen before. Looks like a shotgun with a magazine. I don't know what the hell exactly it's supposed to be. They got squishy faces. Make sure I'm on. Oh, I wasn't on it. What the hell is this? A model show this weekend. Well, I'm out of town this weekend. I can't go to a model show on Easter Saturday. We made other plans. Besides, there's a model show the following weekend. This is the same weekend again. If there's a game convention, so I plan on hitting both. I'm hoping to get some aircraft that I can use on the airfield at City Resort. Damn it. Damn you, Tick. You contaminated me with that. I even shook my fist the right direction. He's that way. Yes, that's the way England is. I always had somebody say, yeah, we need to go down to such and such a place. And I'm always like, no, it's actually that way. Like, it bothers my psyche to, like, you can't point in the wrong direction. I had this one guy at work that was in the back. He was one of the guys that worked in a yard. And I was walking back there to check him out. He was hiding in behind some boxes or whatever. I didn't see him. I saw him out of the corner of my eye. He's on the ground. And he looked hurt. I'm like, dude, are you okay? He's like, oh. I said, sorry about that. I said, well, you okay? I said, sorry, I was praying. Like he was, praying the Muslim prayer, which is cool. I said, man, don't worry. But, Mecca's not that way. It's over this way. Like, if it makes a difference, you need to make sure that you're praying the correct direction, because, got to do all the steps. Otherwise, it's just in vain. You got to be accurate. You can't be, you can't be facing towards Chile if you're trying to pray towards Mecca. It doesn't really work that well. Geography is important. It's a guy ordering pizzas. Okay, we said he was going to have a whitewashed helmet. Okay, and I don't know what color this map case or whatever the hell these two things even are. So I'm going to grab this this green brown and run with it. I'm not going to paint it in an unreasonable color. And that brush is a bit too good for what we're going to do. We use this second class-ish brush. I'm almost ready to pull out the wet palette, because some of these colors are just drying way too quick. And it's not for paint wastage, it's just like, all right, stop what you're doing, pull more color out, give it a little squeeze. Maybe I should try this. That'll keep it moistened. Yeah, that reading stuff like that, no thank you. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to sentences that are rules that are written hidden in the middle of a sentence and you can't find it, and I'm like bullet points. Like make a heading and then list it bullet points. One thought at a time, like if you're gonna make a bill, no pork in it, right? Like this is about this, nothing else, not seven different thought processes in the same sentence. This is about this. No one can move more than this. Not like nobody can move more than this unless they're wearing one red shoe and it's a Tuesday. However, if there was a full moon 2 weeks before, then that doesn't matter unless the shoe actually happened. The one on the other foot is blue. No, no, you're giving me therapy. You're creating a therapy session for me. No, stop. That makes it so hard to get it right. You got to play 100 games of DBA to possibly get one right. It's that involved. Why not try Dr. Faust's cold palette, okay? He puts an ice pack wrapped in a hand towel under a tile, and it creates just enough condensation. The paint stays liquid, but it doesn't get mildewy. Okay, I might try that. Ice pack wrapped in a hand towel under a towel. All right, we'll try that on a weekend. Remind me. Say, hey, how come you're not doing the Dr. Faust? I got plenty of ice packs, towels. I got a tile. Yeah. I don't like the wet palette, not because it's not awesome, because it is. Um, it takes up too much real estate, and then you pop it open and it's like it's curled up. You have to babysit the wet palette, and then once you get it like calm, you got to put it to bed again, right? Like it's you open it. Oh, okay. Give it the bottle, burp it, do all this like babysitting, and then like, okay, it's calm. All right, cool. Now we can move forward with it. And then, oh shit, it's almost time to stop paying. God bless it. Dr. Faust, I know who he is. I subscribe to his channel, but never watch his stuff. I just don't. He's actually one of the first guys I subscribed to. Way back when. I don't even know what he does. Is he really a doctor? Or does he just play one on YouTube? Who's the guy that Jeffrey sent me the link to his videos for, and I'd seen before, that does the Gates of Hell Ostfront, Sturmbannführer or something, Sturmführer, like, yeah, I don't want a nickname being Nothing Führer, You're like a nothing burger, a nothing Führer, like, no, those SS freaking ranks are nothing to be emulated. They're freaking stupid for starters, and those guys are rat bastards. No redeeming value whatsoever. And they weren't even coming after me. I watched a video this morning. I finally saw it. I talked about it earlier, where the guy was like, I can't believe they're like going after people that have he couldn't say it. He didn't want to say it on the video. The crooked spider. I'm like, I was going to write back to him and say, just call it the crooked spider, but I don't know who this guy is. Like, the people that are watching aren't the problem. I don't think anybody that would be watching my show would have a problem if I showed one of those. Because like I said, the first thing I thought of is it's an opportunity to talk about how bad that regime was, right? If you never talk about it, if you never show them what they look like, you don't know what your enemy looks like. I mean, I remember I was in middle school, and they had stuff that was written on, those little tables, right? Everybody would have like a little table, and or a little desk, and inside the desk was hollow where you put your shit in the back there or whatever. And it was one of those where you switch tables from room to room. What the hell is popping up here? And on this one desk, I remember saying, you know, these are like 11-year-olds that are doing this. There was a crooked spider on there, and it said, "I hate commies." I'm like, close, but no cigar. So, you know, if you show that stuff, if you show that iconography, it's an opportunity to talk about how bad the regime was. Those regimes were. So, anyhow. But he didn't mention in his video. See, the thing that really upsets me, because I'm sympathetic to not showing it a little bit, because there's, it brings back bad memories. You know, people that have a history of one of these groups that they actually were going after, they don't want to see that all the time, right? However, you can show on YouTube, you can go and even find a GIF of Stalin blowing you kisses, and that's okay. And he was just as big a dickhead, you know. Two short dickheads with bad mustaches. So that's the problem I have with it, is that it's like, oh no, we just only don't like this guy. Why don't you like Hitler? Well, because we sided with the other guy. Well, we shouldn't have sided with the other guy either. And these people are like, oh, well, the Russians are the bad guys since they invaded Ukraine. They've always been the fucking bad guys. Always. Always. This little adding a drop of water didn't work too well. Hey, sometimes you got to experiment with new things, and sometimes those new experiments, like, we're not going to do that again. But yeah, you can get all kinds of GIFs that are promoted by Facebook because they're in their little GIF library of Stalin blowing you kisses. You know, I think there's even one of them going, you know, doing a little heart symbol, which in Stalinist Russia means I'm going to pull your heart out from you and, you know, give it to a party member. But that you can't even put, you know, anything Wehrmacht on there at all, or it'll trip like all kinds of hazards. Like, that's not cool, you know. Take them both out. Make it so you can't do either one of them. But anyways, I digress. I have no problem putting that kind of iconography on my tanks if it used it. You know, my little crooked coconut trees have one on there that I hand painted. And I try not to get too close so the bots don't get all flustered. But like I said, it's an opportunity to show, to talk about the bad stuff that regime did. You know, they're not the defenders of Europe. You know, how could you even make that claim? Like they were just sitting back and, you know, Russia attacked them. You can have a little bit of sympathy for them, maybe. You know, they're still rat bastards, but still murdering their own people. So just to refresh you guys, I'm going to be out of town this weekend. So we're expecting to have painting tomorrow morning, and that's it until probably Monday morning. Probably. So it's an opportunity to go out and watch other YouTube channels and realize how crappy my content is compared to some of those other ones. But mine's more real. Nothing is staged. It's too much work to stage everything. And you're being dishonest. Okay, so we got that down. We can put some metal on that Thompson. Thumping with a Thompson. Oh, I've forgotten his helmet all along. Like, geez. Only the biggest thing on him. I guess that means Steven's going to run some tournaments. I don't know. I guess that's what that meant. Not that he's on here anymore, but. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would feel like they have a conflict of interest. I can't play in a tournament that I'm judging. Like, what, you're going to just change the rules just because you're playing? Well, that's pretty dishonest. Maybe you're a dishonest person. Maybe somebody who would do something like that is a dishonest person. Maybe they can't trust themselves with them. I can't be trusted with myself, like. And they realize it. Kind of weird, but okay. But all kinds of people come in different flavors. I've had people that ask me, man, I don't know about this rule set. What do you think about it? So I tell them flat out, this is cool and it does this better than the other one and this, but it has these faults or, it would have been really good if they hadn't charged for it. They basically took somebody else's material and charged for it, lifted it, pretended it was their own, didn't mention the other rule set in their rules, etc. And that person will say to me something like, yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't want to give them any business because they basically lifted somebody else's stuff. And then a year goes by, and the next thing you know, they're playing this game they said that you told them was basically like lifted, and they told you they weren't going to play. I'm like, you have a morality issue, I mean, if I tell you something like that, and you're like, I don't give a shit. Okay, fair enough, right? Be that way. Right? Everybody has a right to be that way. But don't say, yeah, I don't like it either. And then a year later, you see him playing this game. Like, I remember stuff like that because I don't do things like that. I'm not perfect, but I really go out of my way to not say I'm going to do something and then do it. Because I think I'd rather have different flaws than that one. And I have them. But that's not one of them. Because I see people like that. I'm like, man, you're like the lowest of the low. You can't be trusted. Now, why do you say? It's like, is this the real you or are you going to do a 180 on it? Yeah, it's like the boy that cried wolf. That's like the worst thing, you know? No, no, he's really here this time. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're going to get eaten by that beast. You're going to get et. You know, I don't like stuff like that. You take your car in, I need an estimate how much this is going to cost. It's going to cost $700. Okay, cool. You get a bill. It's $1,300. Why? Well, this happened. Well, no, you told me $700, and you didn't tell me, hey, when it happened, hey, it's going to be more. I have a major problem with that. You're being dishonest. You know, give me all the facts, so I can make the appropriate decision. You don't give me all the facts. All of a sudden, I've made the inappropriate decision because you didn't give me everything you should have. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people are afraid of saying, I don't know when they don't know something. When's this guy going to get there? Oh, he's just right around the corner. He'll be there in 15 minutes. 2 hours go by. I'm thinking this other guy's a liar. Well, I know he's a liar now. And he was just telling me whatever to get me off the phone. Well, you know what? Eventually, you're going to have to pay the piper. How good's your credit? How good's your moral credit? Yeah, I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it in politics. Not that I even want to make it in politics. I'm just saying, absolutely not. Okay, I think maybe all the highlighting. Now I'd actually leave it green and put a rank, but I don't know what rank this guy's supposed to be. I mean, he could be an LT, he could be a captain, probably one of those two. But a lot of the American guys didn't have. I mean, some of them had it on their helmet, but a lot of guys just didn't because it made them a target for snipers. We're all. I wonder where. Let's rub the lamp and go. I wonder where the hell Hoffman's at. Last time I did that, he showed up. Poof. Where's our channel journalist? I'd have a really hard time in that field. Oh, you need to report it this way. Huh? How about I report it the way that it happened? No, no, you need to put this kind of a spin on. Oh, no. No. You got the wrong guy for this line of work. Okay? And then we're going to add a little bit. Still wanted to look like there was some green underneath, some undertones of green. I'm even going to go up one more. If anybody has a fresh looking helmet, it's this guy. Like when you go and look at pictures of people like, we did a groundbreaking in a new bank. And you got this, you got a couple ladies and some executive looking dude that doesn't look like they've ever lifted a toothbrush or a shovel in their entire freaking life. And there they are with a hard hat on, like Faker. Oh, we're just one of the boys. Yeah, okay. You sure you even know how to use a big pair of scissors? What else we got on here? We've got the Gators. Gautiers. I don't know. They're probably not called that way in French. I speak Blitzkrieg German and croissant French. And harumph English. Oh man. Harumph. Things that make you go. Like the sound of like a beefeater backfiring. Instead of a car backfiring, a beefeater backfiring. You change the spark plugs on that beefeater. What's up, Angela? You're back. I'm back too. Almost done with this guy. And then I'll have a pause because I get to look at some figures and make a decision where I'm going to go before I move into a different direction. I'm definitely going to work on figures. Whether I want to do some Soviets, some Winter Soviets, or some Les Resistance. Oh, remember the pain tags? Okay, you're the Angela that's not an Angela. Tell your mom I said hi. Why'd you mention my mom? Because you got her name. Yeah. Yeah, I never watched your dad's video. Sorry. Just to be honest with you. I forget. There's lots of videos I forget to watch. The Cologne channel. I probably hate them all. I'm really bad about that. I hate almost all those smells. Like it smells like vanilla, I don't like it. It smells like musk, I don't like it. It smells like cedarwood, don't like it. And I'll be the first one to say, man, that smells yummy. What is that? Oh, it's just shampoo. I said, well, that That's some nice fruity smelling stuff right there. And cologne is really weird. Cologne will be like smell good on one person, and then you go and try it on, and it smells terrible. Like something completely different on you. I had a coworker, a dude. I told him, "Dude, don't take this the wrong way, but you smell good." He told me what he was wearing. Like I went and tried it out. It smelled awful on me, awful. So, but he'd wear cologne to work, and wearing cologne to where I work is like putting on a new pair of underwear when you're gonna eat all you can eat Mexican. Like, why bother? Oh man, why even bother? What state do you live in, ma'am? I know you're an Americano. I really don't like this. I don't really like gators. They look weird. They look like they'd be really impractical. Like, dude, just make bigger boots. Because I think they were superseded by the buckle boots. They went to in late '44. They went to these buckle boots that were just like boots, and then at the top they had like these two little buckles, which are probably really difficult to get a hold of, get get rid of in a hurry. But at least you didn't have to wear these gaiters that'd be all twisted and stuff. They'd like twist on you and stuff. Especially if you're like walking through like sticks or high grass or something like that. I could just see that being a nightmare. Okay, and that Thompson needs a sling color. I'm gonna just use this regular green, gray green, and I'm gonna use the real precise one because we're gonna need to where this is going. Where's this gray green? No, you left. Okay. It's like, man, I wonder what state you're from. And I also wonder what is the state. That's probably I could look it up. What is the state where people make the least fun of you? Like if you say I'm from such and such a place, what's that such and such a place where an American makes the least amount of fun of you? I'm gonna look that up. What U.S. state is the least ridiculed? Probably Rhode Island. It's not even a fucking island. Guess what? Chicken butt. All right. So here's an article. Well, this is an AI overview. It's difficult to definitely say which U.S. state is the least ridiculed, as humor is subjective. Yes, but good humor is not. However, some states are consistently mentioned as weird or quirky in popular culture, while others might be perceived as more typical. Some sources rank states by how fun they are, with California and Florida consistently ranking high, according to Inc.com. Other sources list states by how welcoming they are, with Vermont, Maine, and Hawaii being the most welcoming. Well, Maine's full of maniacs, so they're going to welcome you to, put you in a fucking cave underground and, and do things to you. That is what people from Maine are called, right? Maniacs. And Missouri, Massachusetts, and Illinois being the least welcoming. Really? Missouri? People are rude in Missouri, huh? I mean, I knew Massachusetts. I mean, that's where the term masshole comes from. You made your first YouTube video. The question is it for kids? Yeah, when it says, is this video made for kids? Always say no. The worst thing about living in each state. Don't mess with my Florida. You don't like it, get out of here. We got too many people. State pride is important. You betcha. We'll shoot your ass. Alabama, it's home to the worst poverty in the developed world. Somehow I don't think that's the case. But, okay. I lived in Alabama for 3 years, and I can tell you, some of the nicest people in Alabama. Now, there's assholes everywhere. Alaska, alcohol misuse is rampant. Well, there's nothing to do. Oh, and they show a girl. There are no girls in Alaska. There's like 10 guys for one girl in Alaska. Arizona, teacher turnover rates are high. Arkansas, a low percentage of residents hold graduate degrees. Arkansas is a butt of the jokes. That is a state that always gets made fun of. Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia. West Virginia always gets made fun of. Always. California, the air and water quality are low. Yet they have the most regulations for it. Colorado, altitude sickness is a doozy. Connecticut, income inequality is alive and thriving. They have that everywhere. Delaware, seeing a movie is a bit of a chore. What? Well, Delaware is just like, shouldn't even be a state. Oh, I'm sorry, I say that? Yeah, it should be part of Maryland or something. Florida, here's what Florida gets. You ready for this? Drug overdoses are common. Okay, well, I've never done drugs, so that doesn't apply to me. And if you OD on drugs, guess what? You're not a problem anymore. Georgia, traffic can be a nightmare. Only around Atlanta. Hawaii, taxpayer returns on investments are terrible. Idaho, working moms have it rough. They have it rough everywhere. Anyhow. That reminds me of a fat wrestler being introduced as, he's from the great state of obesity. Which one's that one? Indiana, there's a shortage of mental health professionals. Well, that could be that there just aren't any mental health issues. Innovation isn't Iowa's strong suit. Well, they got freaking corn and white people. They don't have to innovate. Kansas, the scenery's pretty bland. Kentucky, retirement isn't so sweet. Louisiana, yes, I said it that way on purpose. The foodscape isn't the healthiest. Maine, it's an expensive place to live. Maryland, driving is an ordeal. Maryland, the frickin' taxes eat you alive. Massachusetts, happy hour specials are illegal. Back in 1984, Massachusetts was the first state in the nation to ban happy hour. See, that's where the Puritans went. I told you, those guys are no fun at parties. You can't order more than 2 drinks at once, either. So no buying your group of friends around. Michigan, the state's integrity score is low. Minnesota, the winters are devastating. What did you say about Rhode Island? Let me go to Rhode Island. You know, New Jersey also gets a bad rap just trash. Just waste and broken warehouses. You know, why'd you have to pick a state this far down? Public transportation is a nightmare. South Dakota, jail is never fun, but it's especially terrible here. Tennessee, it's difficult to make a dentist appointment. Oh well. Virginia, there's a high number of hate groups. Uh-oh, Marcus. Washington, cars are a hot commodity to steal. Yeah, I don't know what's going up in the Pacific Northwest, but they need to crack down on people misbehaving. You're not allowed to just, like, you know, misbehave and not get put in your place. You could take 5 steps and be out of either side of Rhode Island. What public transportation could they possibly need? I have no idea. It's not even an island. That's just ridiculous. Never been to Rhode Island. Came close. We got close to Rhode Island when last time we went to Connecticut. Connecticut the dots. When I went to the hobby store, that just walking in there is like immediate lung cancer. They were smoking inside the hobby store. They're smoking inside of a store that had carpet. Like, not getting that out. So I went in there and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna stink up our vehicle when I get back in it. Like, holy smokes, literally. But of all the hobby stores I've ever been in, the top dog of all time was that one in Canada, the Century Box. It was absolutely amazing. It was like it was time traveling. It's time traveling to 1982. I can't go earlier than that because I wouldn't remember. It was a time travel in 1982, and everything was organized and clean, didn't have any dust in it. It had 20 millimeter stuff. And everything I bought there has already been built. Challenge accepted. All right, this guy has a radio, and if I remember correctly, it was an ugly ass freaking color. Okay, that was brownish. I'm not going to do that. I need something that's going to pop a little bit more. So I'm going to use this US dark green, or this olive gray. I'm going to use the olive gray. The gray no tiene nada. That means there's no gray in here at all. It's still just like olive. Where's the American part of your family? You said you have family over here. Is it over in their Rhode Island area? I know it's up in one of them Yankee holdouts up there somewhere. When I went up in that Connecticut area, I was surprised at how many fisherman-looking white people there were. I was like, this is kind of weird, you know? Fisherman meaning, I mean, like people that worked on a trawler, like, and that's just the ladies. Connecticut and Virginia, and a cousin in Wisconsin. Are they Americanized? In other words, do they speak like you, or they speak like the people around here? Well, not the people around here, because people from Wisconsin do not speak like around here. You betcha. Virginia's for lovers. Trace back to the Mayflower on one fork of the family tree. Well, so you're the part that stayed still fun at parties, right? Did the Puritans drink? And I say that like I'm some kind of a lush or something, but I, I think it's a little odd not to drink, or not to have a drink. I should say that. I don't drink, but I have a drink. Like, I mean, you can do whatever you want with your life, but if it's New Year's Eve and you're having a toast and you don't have a toast, that's a bit weird. You know, I mean, unless it's like it'll kill you if you have it. Like, all right, fair enough. You have a health complication. Like, well, I have my reasons. Okay, well, let's hear them so we can find out if you're weird or not. All right. American born and bred. You need to blow up stuff with guns. We went to, after we went to a game convention, it was in Orlando. Mitch and I decided to stop by this place they have in Orlando. It's called, I don't know, Machine Gun America or something like that. And it's basically an enclosed range where you can pay. I didn't do it because it's too freaking expensive, but you could pay X amount to fire, weapons that aren't street legal. Like MP5s, Tommy guns, that kind of stuff. Fully automatic weapons, basically. But what you have to pay is pretty expensive, and you got to buy all the ammo for it. So if you buy something that's very thirsty, it's going to cost a lot. And we went in there. We just wanted to see what it was about, and we saw lots of people from your land, the other across the ocean, and they had a smile on their face, like They had just won the lottery. I was like, I told him, you can't do that back home, can you? Oh, no, we can't. Nope. And, they had somebody, I'm sure they had a coach with them. It's not like, here, have fun with us. We'll see you in about 50 rounds. We'll see you in 300 rounds. Because you can have fun, but you need to be safe when you're doing stuff like that. Just like if you have a car, you can't just drive around like a maniac. 67 views already 15 minutes ago. I'm going viral and told your mom. Well, what the heck did you do on your channel? Maybe I don't want to know. Just be yourself, man. You're only allowed to be a crazy person on the internet if you're really crazy. My hobby's just too calm. You'd probably have 10 times more views if you were a girl. A 12-year-old girl making videos. There's be lots of people who'd be watching that. I'm not saying I'd be one of them. I'm just saying that I know how the world works. 67 in 15 minutes is pretty good. And then we're probably not going to mess with this guy until in the morning. We're not going to try to rush this and put a clear coat on him or something like that just yet. Like just stay there. You're good. All right, I'm going to take a potty break. I'm going to come back and we're going to look at some resistance fighters and see if I'm inspired to do them, or we're going to go to Mother Russia and do some of those guys. Be right back. All right. So I believe all the resistance guys are in one place. I just need something to bring them over here with. So I'm going to take these 2 tanks. I took them to the hobby show in my little container. And we will put them back in where they belong, in their dust-free or their much less dust environment. And then we can load this up with these guys. I think I had 25 of them and I painted 10, so I should have about 15 guys left. And I think they're all based. And some of these guys I don't love because they're SHQ guys, and SHQ guys tend to have more diminutive detail on them. Found something in here that doesn't belong in here. All right, let's see who we got here. And the black's been chipped up on these because they've been moved around a little bit. And I also have an empty sticker stand. I think I just found who it went to. All right. So the advantage of doing these guys next is that I get to paint some civilian type looking clothes on them. So I get a little bit of variety. Looks like we're still missing 2 guys with the stickers on the bottom. All right, let's go ahead and take care of that. So you can do like a variety of weapons, variety of skills, etc. These 2 guys are SHQ, so's him. So's this guy with the double barrel shotgun. Everybody else is a battlefield guy. This guy has a beautifully detailed light machine gun. I mean, super crisp looking light machine gun. Now, I don't travel with my guys. I don't plan on traveling with them. So really having magnets on the bottom of them isn't super helpful, except that it does make the stand a little thicker. So it gives you more of a purchase to be able to grab it so you're not, touching the figure as much, rubbing paint off of it, etc. But if you do have to move them from point A to point B, you can put them on a little metal tray or metallic, something that's magnetic. Well, it's magnetic, something metal. This is magnetic. And I don't like magnetic sheet on stuff and then making the base out of metal. I think making the magnet on the figure and then carrying it on a metal device works a lot better. I've tried both, and this one you have more it has more of a purchase on it. Okay, so we got a guy with some kind of a rifle. We got a guy with a light machine gun. We got a guy with a shotgun. We got a guy with a Sten. We got a guy with an LMG, FM, whatever the hell it's called, FM 249. I don't know. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, another guy with that looks like a Bren gun. This guy with an MG 42 with his partner. This guy is just giving orders in his old school French helmet. This guy's got a Thompson and no doubt a banner that's going to have a French tricolor on it. That's exciting to do. This guy's got a mustache of unusual size, a Tommy gun, and looks like some dinamita. And then this guy's got a Piat. A Piat. Piat. That's what we used to call them. Whether that's right or wrong, we dumbass Americans used to call it a Piat. So, honestly, a lot of guys are with heavy firepower. So, I think we're going to do this. I think we're going to paint a few of these guys. So I have to decide who I'm going to paint next. Well, I already have some of them painted. I like the idea of having a shotgun because we can use a shotgun in combat. Although, I have no idea. This guy's got boots on. He's got some kind of... He's got a vest on like Mitch. Got a Mitch vest. And this guy's like exactly the same face. Exactly. Whoop! Gotta be careful with that. It's got an SHQ rifle. That'll bend into a knot without you wanting to. You just sneeze and it turns into a knot. All right, so we're gonna do him. Guy's got a scarf. I mean, I like a lot of these guys. This guy totally has British trousers. And he's got a jacket on. I'll tell you what. I don't need to make that decision. Let's prime these guys. Now, if I had black enamel paint, I'd be perfectly happy priming these guys with black enamel paint. But I don't. They killed my Model Master. And as much as I like Vallejo primer, I don't think it's very durable. But man, does it get everywhere you need it to go. It really does that. So I don't know how many more of these resistance fighters I'm going to paint in a row, but I think I'm going to paint a couple of them now and enhance the ones I have. I think I got 10 of them. I haven't used any of them in battle. And maybe what I'll do is when I'm done priming these guys, I'll call it a night because I do need to pack. I do need to pack for the trip after work tomorrow. And that'll give me a chance to download some photos. There's a lot of reenactors, a lot of French Resistance reenacting groups in modern day in full color photographs. There's a lot of that. And I have a couple of girls, but I already painted them. But even like what kind of dresses they would have and stuff like that, period kind of dresses. I went to one of the sites. There was even a guide. Wear these colors, don't wear these. These weren't common. That kind of thing. Are you on for tomorrow morning, Friday, Monday, or bank holidays over here? So I should be able to catch the full thing. Yeah, bank holidays. What, you work at a bank? No. So yes, I'll be on tomorrow. Um, I'll be on tomorrow for sure. Monday, I'll also be on. But over the weekend, I won't be because we're leaving after work. It's not a far drive, but it's an hour and a half, and we'll come back on late on Easter. But like I said about the Americans, these Americans I painted, I don't care that they're like Battle of the Bulge Americans. I'll use them in a Normandy scenario if I need to. Obviously not storming the beaches, but it's just it's just something. And they it's not like they can't do other things. I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice. I'd rather use guys that weren't. So, but it's definitely a squad's worth. So, I wouldn't want to mix them in with somebody else. Like they'd stick to their own kind of thing. The way to tell them apart, anyways. Tell that squad away from it. Tell that squad apart from some of the other ones. A couple of these look like it could be a girl in disguise, and I don't mind having more females. I have two or three. I forget what it is, but that's it. Of like the 25, I only have two or three, so I should have a few more percentage wise. I mean, this could look like a handsome woman. A handsome woman. What are you trying to say there? So all these resistance fighters all have first names only, and that just kind of the decision that I made makes them sound a little bit more informal, even though some of these are probably ex-soldiers. And then sometimes in real life, these guys would use a fake name. That's not really them. They're pretending to be Marguerite, but they're not really Marguerite. They're somebody else. They got to use their fake name so they don't get reported. Get some turncoat and turns them in. The next thing you know, they're off on a one-way train ride. And then who else does? I'm just trying to think. Who else would get one names. Oh, the little Hitler Youth guys. You'd have like, Peter and, stuff like that. I wouldn't use their last name for these guys. German officer seducing the French girl. Is that the Panzerfaust Ziska? That's right. And I came across them. I don't remember what bag they were in. Oh, they were in the German bag. I've got some. I've got a priest, and I've got like a guy. There were some FAA guys that I'm not really proud of what they look like, but I think they'll probably paint up okay. Stuff that's good for scenarios. But the problem with the French resistance guys is you're going to have like one leader for the squad. You're not going to have like a junior leader. I'm not going to give them a junior leader, but the weapons they have are really like fast firing. If they encounter like a bunch of riflemen, they could tear the riflemen up in a new one. Because almost all these guys have automatic weapons. I mean, LMG, Tommy, double barrel shotgun. Okay, not double action. Submachine gun, Sten. That guy's got a bolt action rifle. Another light machine gun. Captured German light machine gun. Another, a Bren gun. Like, that's some heavy firepower. I got that old woman. Got that old woman you said, send her to Russia. Send her bitchy ass to Russia. You left your money boots in the house. Or however that goes in French. Send her to the Russian front. One thing I forget is the Germans occupied France for over 4 years. That's pretty, right? Yeah, that's pretty impressive. The only thing is the buildings I have are kind of torn down, which, this is more likely to. I would think these guys would be a lot more active with the buildings intact, because once the buildings are torn down, that means that they have help. They have allies coming for them, and when there's allies coming for them, they're just they're dropping artillery on things and that sort of thing. So these don't want to get involved in that kind of firefight. They want to like hit and run, get out of there. No prolonged combat. So we will revisit these guys in the morning and decide which one of these we're going to do first. I mean, this guy's probably the highest ranking guys of all these resistance fighters, and he managed to grab another what do you call those things? I can't remember the helmet, whatever the French helmet is called. He managed to grab one of those. Wear it. All right, folks. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Yes, Adrian helmet. That's right.